begin this 5-on-5 with the Bronx Player of the Week. That honor goes to BX Rising basketball star Boogie Fland. Boogie led Stepanak to the New York Diocesan Championship, shutting down #1 Cardinal Hayes and Captain Jack in the title showdown. Talk about some cool nicknames for a couple of high schoolers. Boogie dropped 15 points and grabbed 6 boards. He also added 2 assists and 3 steals to his credit. In the 4th spot, looking for their first CUNYAC tournament title since 2004 on the college basketball hardwood, the Lehman Lightning left it all on the court, suffering a heartbreaking defeat 75-69 in overtime to Baruch last Friday night. Lehman and Baruch split during the regular season, each winning on its own home court, but in the chip, it was Baruch who pulled it out in the extra session. From the high school and college hoops action to the pros we go. The Knicks and Nets share the 3rd spot here on the front end of 5-on-5. The Orange and Blue and Bronx native Kimball Walker have decided that injuries should shut down his season the rest of the way. Walker will rehab. Meantime, the Knicks haven't been able to secure many victories since the All-Star break. We go inside the locker room for more.
The 4th quarter, yeah, the intensity is different, but when you look at, for example, Philly, they just ran a simple pick and roll with James and Embiid. I mean, obviously they are 2 great players, so it's a tough cover. But I think our offense down the stretch, it needs to be a little bit more like players. Like we need to think a little bit more about what we want to achieve when we run something. To start the game, 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, you're trying to get into a rhythm. You move the ball. You go from one side to the other because everybody has to touch it, and everyone has to feel good. 4th quarter is different. That's where it's time to really execute our stuff and go to our best players and yeah, man, it's frustrating because we're really we're not far at all. We should be winning these games, man, and it's frustrating, very frustrating.
On the flip side of things, the Nets hold in a huge win over Milwaukee on the road, a season best for Kyrie Irving, who could also return to playing in New York if COVID mandates change very soon. Here's Kyrie.
We got together as a group after All-Star break, and we put some goals on the board. Just a daily reminder of what we're gearing up for, and just the things that we can control, and just focusing on those things. But we had a few good practices where we just got back to the fundamentals and just doing the little things and just communicating and being open with one another, and then just adding in some new guys that was part of it. And it just felt good. It felt like we were all locked in, and we got a chance to see the results tonight just play out, where we competed for 4 quarters and we control what we can control. I mean, we control what we could control tonight, and just living with the results.
In the 2 spot, IndyCar kicks off its season in St. Pete over the weekend. Second-year driver Scott McLaughlin won pole and the race. Sticking with the theme of 2 in the 2 spot, we asked reigning Indy 500 winner Helio Castro-Neves and Will Power, who podiumed in St. Pete, for a preview and why fans who don't know much about the sport should.
New marketing campaign, Defy Everything, targets not just fans in the Midwest, but seems to challenge fans outside of that market, from like where I am, from New York all the way to Texas. And this kind of piggybacks on the question that Jenna asked earlier. And a follow-up to that, if you had to, let's say have 15 to 30 seconds to pitch the series to someone that doesn't know about IndyCar, what would you say, and what can fans expect to see in 2022?
Well, I say the most exciting races that you're going to have, the most competitive. You're never going to know who's going to win. It's the best drivers, the best teams, and it's pure excitement. I guess if people haven't had a chance to go and check it out, not only one race but several races, they're gonna feel like they were missing a big part of their bucket list. And I'm a big fan. The IndyCar it runs through my vein, and I'm excited to be back.
Like Elio said, you never know who's going to win. You never know who's going to be on pole. And you really don't know who's going to win the championship until the last race, and sometimes the last lap. So it's a great product, and it has been growing over the last decade. It's significantly grown since I started in IndyCar, and the teams and the drivers are the highest standard that I've ever seen them. So It's a great series. It really is. It's a great series, and I hope that we continue to push to get it out to the public.
And in at number 1 on the front end of 5 on 5, the Yankees finally do something that truly was already in place without the formality of it, and that's officially retire Paul O'Neill's number 21. The Warrior will be honored later this summer in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. We caught up with the former All-Star turned beloved Yankee broadcaster on the honor.
That was the first thing that I noticed when I was traded over from Cincinnati was the history and the pride of Yankees. And, I had the opportunity to meet Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra and have a relationship with Whitey Ford and talks. And it's just like those are great memories for me. And you never put yourself in a position where you ever think that you're going to achieve something that those great players before you did. And to have something like this, many times playing and now even doing games in the booth, you look up at that wall at those numbers and they're associated with certain names. And to believe, to have that, to look up there at some point and see a 21 that means so much to me, definitely the highest honor that I can think that happened to me. And I can't thank the Yankees enough.
We begin the back end of this 5 on 5 with some more basketball. The Knicks are in Phoenix Friday and LA to face the Clippers on Sunday. 10 p.m. starts for us tuning in on the East Coast. In at number 2, the Brooklyn Nets are in Boston Sunday to face the rival Celtics. That game tips at 1 p.m. In the 3 spot, the Rangers skate against the New Jersey Devils at home tonight at Madison Square Garden. Puck drop on the ice is 7 p.m. In the 4 spot, Iona College men's basketball will host Senior Day Saturday, tomorrow in New Rochelle. The Gales are currently undefeated at home and have locked up the MAC Conference. They will be the number 1 seed in the upcoming conference tournament in Atlantic City. Congratulations to them. And in the 5th and final spot, we'll stick with college basketball since it is March Madness after all. The Florida men wrap up their regular season tomorrow at home when they welcome George Washington. Tip is 2 p.m. at Rose Hill. That's a look at the upcoming weekend schedule for sports here locally. We hit the C list for an on this date in Bronx sports history. On this day and on this weekend more than a century ago, the Yankees traveled abroad to begin spring training in Bermuda, becoming the first in baseball history to do so. Back then, the club was not known as the Yankees. They were the New York Highlanders. In fact, the team was looking for a change after an atrocious 102-loss season in 1912. The Highlanders' name was proving too long for headlines, and by the time spring training rolled around in 1913, the franchise was still a nameless team. They didn't even have a real home, as they had decided to move out of their original location at Hilltop Park and share the Polo Grounds with the New York Giants, not the football team, the baseball team back then. Of course, the Highlanders would eventually settle on the name Yankees prior to opening day in 1913, capitalizing on the press's common name for them that March. Before that would occur, new manager Frank Chance looked for a spark that could ignite a stronger performance out of a club that had underperformed. Chance had built a winning pedigree in Chicago with the Chicago Cubs in the form of 4 league pennants, Tinkers to Evers to Chance, look it up, and was prepared to do so in the same vein here in New York. He decided Bermuda would do the trick, and I think all Bronxites could relate here. Who wouldn't want a Bermuda vacation right about now? Chance orchestrated a spring training to take place at the Hamilton Cricket Grounds in Bermuda. The field was exactly how the name sounds, a converted cricket field. It had been utilized a year prior by a minor league team in New Jersey called the Skeeters. The eventual Pinstripers talked the Skeeters into returning to Bermuda in 1913 to scrimmage them, using the island as a pleasant climate area with enough isolation for the teams to focus. So if anyone ever asks you, yes, the Yankees once played a team named the Skeeters on an old cricket field. Here's to hoping MLB's latest labor dispute allows us to see baseball or even some form of MLB cricket in 2022. We miss you, the Bronx Bombers. We certainly do. That's your look at sports. I'm Bobby C.